this is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. Today I want to talk about how to become a better dominant. Now, last week I did a video where I talked about how to become a better submissive, and I really wanted to do a follow-up where I gave some advice to those of you who are on the other side of the slash, or those of you who are switches who are looking to learn more about the dominant side of how they engage in BDSM. So that is what I'm going to be talking about today. However, I am not a dominant myself, so these things are not necessarily going to be advice from my own experience. However, these are things that I look for when I am evaluating a potential partner, be that for play or a relationship. Traits that I look for generally in order to determine, is this somebody who is well suited to a long-term BDSM relationship? Are they somebody that I would want to engage and play with or not? Although these are not necessarily things that are like make or break. They are ways to be able to improve what is already there. And I think no matter if you're just getting started out as a dominant or if you've been a dominant in a 24/7 relationship for 20 years, I think there are always ways that you can improve yourself and ways that you can get new perspectives on just dominance in general. So hopefully, no matter kind of where you're coming from, there will be something in this video that you will find interesting and helpful on your BDSM journey. And I want to start off this video by first addressing some things that I think do not make good dominance. I think if you are just getting started and you are first finding your feet in BDSM, it's so easy to get inundated with images of what dominance looks like, what dominance is, trying to tell you how you should be, and not all of those things are accurate. And there is a pretty big gulf between what we present as fantasy as what a dominant does versus what in reality makes for a good dominant. I think the number one thing is that being a good dominant is not about knowing everything. This is kind of like the analogous concept to submission is not about being perfect. Dominants are not omnipotent. They are not omnipresent. They cannot possibly know how to do everything. Again, especially if you're first getting started. So don't put pressure on yourself to know everything, to be a master of shibari, to have an extensive bondage collection, to be able to Florentine flog your partner for an hour, to be able to do anything in particular in BDSM. It's not about knowing everything. It's not about knowing exactly what to do in every single perfect moment. Again, because the fantasy is that the dominant always knows what to do in exactly the right moment without anybody saying anything and just knowing. And that is not going to happen. Dominants are not mind readers, so don't try to make yourself a mind reader. Number two, being a good dominant is not about being able to bark orders. I can bark orders. Anybody can bark orders. I could tell you right now, hey, go get me my glass from the kitchen. I would hate doing it because as a submissive that feels completely unnatural, but I could do it. Anybody can bark orders. Being a dominant isn't just about being able to tell other people what to do, because potentially that even gets into bullying or abuse territory. It's about giving people a good reason to listen to you. It's about being a good leader. It's about compelling people to want to follow you and being able to engage in those things that makes your submissive want to submit. It's about being able to tap into the things that make your submissive feel like themselves and feel connected to your relationship, to your dynamic, to the scene. Not about just telling them to go get you a glass or a drink or make you a sandwich. And finally, number three, being a good dominant is not about your social status or your financial status. This is something that, again, comes from the fantasies and the images and especially the media that we are presented about BDSM. People like Christian Grey, people like anything in any paperback romance novel, God, they're all like rich, well-dressed, fit, naturally beautiful, naturally youthful, 25 to 30-year-olds that just know magically how to do everything and are perfect at everything. And no human is ever possibly going to obtain that. And any of those traits individually don't make for a good dominant. Being rich doesn't make you a better dominant. Having a nice car doesn't make you a better dominant. Having a Giorgio Armani suit does not make you a better dominant. Those are all aesthetic things. And you or your submissive may really enjoy engaging in that particular type of power fantasy that is based in social status, but literally having those things does not make a difference in if you are a good dominant or not. It may make a difference in who you are attracting and who wants to be your submissive, but you can fake all of those things too, and they don't actually change whether or not you have the skill set, the mindset, or the ability to be good dominant. It's all just stuff, and stuff is not what determines if you're dominant or not. So that's enough of that. Hopefully that rant will be helpful in comparison to what makes somebody good dominant. And I generally have some pet peeves about the way that we tell dominance through imagery and media how they should be, because that could be so intimidating. So I just wanted to get that out there. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the ways that you can enhance your dominance. And for me, the first way that you can enhance your dominance is by practicing humble leadership. And there are definitely people out there that practice 24/7 MS dynamics where the partner is a literal slave driver. And if that is your thing, that is totally okay. I am not bashing on you in any way. You do you. But I think for a lot of us, something that we can engage in our BDSM relationships to make them stronger is being a humble leader. Again, being in BDSM, practicing dominance is not about being able to bark orders. It's about giving a reason for people to want to follow you. And being a good leader is not about being able to domineer your way and say, we're going to do this because I say so. Okay, that's fine, I guess. But about being able to demonstrate why your opinion should be followed, why you should be the one who is the leader. And a good leader does that by engaging with the people around them, about taking into account the skill set of the people that they interact with who are part of their team and what their shared goals are, and finding clear ways to be able to reach those goals in realistic manners. So, for example, if you are a dominant and you are in a BDSM relationship and you are really, really bad at budgeting and you cannot keep a checkbook to save your life, you probably shouldn't be engaging in financial domination. Or should you? Well, what a good leader would do and what a humble leader would do is they would admit that they are not very good at budgeting, that is a skill set that they particularly lack and it just not come naturally to them. But maybe you still want to be able to do that in a BDSM context. Well, maybe you are not the one who is telling your submissive that they have a $50 allowance, but maybe your submissive is a very organized person. You can reach out to them and go, my submissive, I would like to, you can reach out to them and take from their skill set and say, okay, we are going to set up a budget. We are going to set up savings accounts. We are going to do XYZ thing that we need to do in order to be able to reach these certain goals. And as a part of this, I'm also going to want to make sure that you set up an automatic deposit for $50 for your allowance every week, so you have something ongoing that I don't have to keep track of. And you just take the skill set of your submissive, of whoever it is that you are engaging with, and try to draw on that, but still be in control and still be the one who is directing the action. But you're not trying to overstep and do things that you're not capable of. So, you know, it would be a really bad idea if you decided that because you're the dominant, because you're the leader, you should be the one who's in control of the checkbooks, and then suddenly your whole financial situation is complete disarray, because that is not a skill set that you have. So admit what you don't know, rely on the people around you, and just engage and listen to your submissive and take what they tell you seriously and use that to be able to form your own opinions and your own ultimate decision. Because really what it's about, being a strong leader, is being able to take the ideas of the people around you and decide based on information what you should do to go forward. And moving on, the second way that you can improve your dominance and improve your BDSM dynamic is to engage in behavior that cultivates honesty from your submissive and also encourages emotional connection and attachment. So this is not something where I'm saying you need to be romantically involved or sexually involved or have any particular type of relationship. No matter how it is that you engage in BDSM, bonding and having a trusting, open, honest relationship is so important to being able to do BDSM of any kind, but especially if you want to start really engaging in a lot of deep power exchange. If that root structure of honesty and clear expectations is not there, it's not going to work out. What I would do if you want to be able to encourage your submissive to be forthright with you, to be honest with you, is to demonstrate that behavior yourself. Again, it goes back to being a good leader. And a good leader demonstrates those behaviors that they want to have from their followers. So be emotionally vulnerable. You don't have to do, your whole life story and all of the terrible things that have ever happened to you. But if you want your submissive to be able to be more open with who they are and with their own hang-ups or their own worries, you kind of have to put that a little bit out there first and show them that being vulnerable is okay. Because a lot of submissives, especially if their first experiences in BDSM were not very good, are going to clam out, and they are going to be afraid to share with you what their desires are, what they really want out of BDSM, because they'll be afraid of losing you, of hurting you, of not being considered like a good submissive. So you got to put it out there a little bit first. So for example, a really good way of doing this when you were first starting off a BDSM relationship is when you're talking about limits, talk about your own limits too. Because again, a submissive who hasn't had a good first experience in BDSM will be prone to saying things like, oh, I don't have any limits, or my limits are like scat and waterboarding, and that's it, I'm fine with everything else, and just kind of brushing it under the rug, even though they may actually have some deep hang-ups and some things that they really, really don't want to do. So if you put it out there first, if you say something like, okay, well, one of my limits is blindfolds. I really need to be able to make eye contact with my partner. It helps me feel more connected. Is there anything that's like that for you? And hopefully that will help them feel more open and more able to engage with you in a really honest conversation. And then maybe they will be more willing to say something like, yeah, actually, for me, I really can't do handcuffs. I hate the feeling of metal against my skin. It doesn't feel good to me, so I really, really don't want to use handcuffs. And you can keep building from there in other areas of your relationship. Something else that you can do as well if you are in an ongoing BDSM dynamic is to set up something like couch time or porch time, which is a concept that I learned from the book Living MS, which is a great book. You can actually get it on your Kindle. If I can find it, I will link it down below for you guys to check out. Basically what this is a reserved space where you can ask your partner to meet you there. You can go out there and you can speak freely, whatever it is that's on your mind, without any fear of retribution. And especially as a submissive, having a tool like that is so important. So if you're a dominant and you're setting up your BDSM relationship, or you're thinking about reevaluating things, consider something like porch time, because then your submissive always knows that they have a way to be able to freely express their feelings. And when they are in porch time, it's also really important that you reaffirm that, again, this is going to be something that stays in porch time. You're not going to be punished for it. You're not going to be any sort of within dynamic retribution for whatever it is that you say. This is about being able to discuss problems in a way that's not going to damage the power exchange and is not going to interfere with it at all. So having a tool like that is a great way to be able to encourage honesty from your submissives. The biggest issue that I have heard of from my friends who are dominants is getting submissives to honestly and accurately use their safe words, especially when they're new and especially when they're with new partners. It's like you have to physically drag yellow and red out of a submissive sometimes because we're taught that using them is bad. And I will make a whole video about that another time. But a really quick way that you can help your submissive feel more like they can use their safe words honestly is to, before you do a scene, always remind them that, hey, these are your safe words. It is okay if you use them. I want to hear them from you. If anything is going wrong in this scene that you need to tell me about, even if it's something that we've negotiated for, even if it's the entire scene itself, please communicate with me. Please use your yellow. Please use your reds. I want to hear that from you. When you are engaging your safe words, you are being a good submissive. So please use them if you need them. And you can just say something like that and just reaffirm that using safe words is good, that this is a safe place to freely express what they are honestly feeling about something, and that they are not going to be damaging the relationship if they need to use red or use yellow during a scene. So just some quick little ways that you can help with encouraging honesty and encouraging vulnerability with your submissives. It's really less about doing anything specific and just practicing having an open dialogue about what you are feeling, if you want to change something, what your limits are, what your boundaries are, and just constantly having that conversation and being able to encourage your submissive to engage in that dialogue with you. And finally, the third and last way that you can improve your dominance, that is part of this list anyways, is always seek new knowledge. There's never going to be a point in your history as a dominant, in your lifetime in BDSM, that you are going to know everything. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, you're not going to know everything. And there is never going to be a point where you are a complete master over BDSM. You may be a master, but you are not going to be a master of BDSM. There are always new perspectives you can learn from, always new techniques that you can use. And a good dominant, again, acknowledges when they don't know something. So part of acknowledging that you don't know something is taking it to the next step and going, okay, how can I learn from this? Who can I learn from? Where can I go to learn things? What books can I read? How can I keep cultivating my dominance? How can I keep engaging, learning, growing, being able to take new skills into scenes, take new skills into my relationships, and always being open to the perspective of others. Now, obviously, if you're in the middle of a scene, you probably don't want anybody butting in and telling you that your flogging technique sucks, but you know, if you have some experience and you're like, yeah, I've flogged before, I know everything. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. There are always new people that you can learn from. Even just observing people in dungeons can be a great way to learn more about different techniques, different ways that you can do scenes. And another thing that happens a lot is there's a lot of posturing between dominants about like, I'm the most dom and I know everything and I'm an expert in this. And even people who are experts in things still learn things from other experts. So it's not about just, okay, I've met this particular threshold, I'm a dominant, I know everything now, because it's not how it is. Go to classes if you can, maybe find a mentor, find other dominants that you can become friends with, that you can learn from in your local community, people that you can watch on YouTube, people just you can ask questions to in general. Don't be afraid to seek knowledge. You don't lose dom points when you ask questions. So please ask questions. Please keep reading. Please keep engaging. You know, there's always going to be something else that you can learn from somebody else or from a book or somewhere like that. So anyways, that is everything that I wanted to cover today. This is by no means an extensive list. These are just some of the things that I think about when I think about what a good dominant practice is. There's basically an almost unlimited number of ways that you could potentially improve as a dominant, depending on where you personally are in your own journey, so do keep that in mind. But hopefully you did find it interesting and helpful. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave that down in the comment section below. If you want to see more from me, my social media, things like that, link will be down in the description box. As well, if you haven't already and you like this video, please do subscribe. I make videos twice a week. And finally, if you really enjoyed this video and you really enjoy my content, I do recommend you check out my Patreon. That is the best place to be able to get exclusive content, to get tutorials for things, to get scene examples, to get more fleshed out, more personal ideas about BDSM, because can't really share that stuff on YouTube, and I would love to be able to give you guys a flogging demonstration or a wax play scene, but I have to put those on Patreon because YouTube sucks. So do check that out if you haven't already, and until I see you guys next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.